Within the team, which was led by John Ruggie, but not solely John Ruggie, this is really important, there was a whole team. It was unilaterally agreed, the UN Guiding Principles within member states. It's been the sort of response by most NGOs, or a lot of NGOs, and certainly the trade union movement has been very positive to that. The beauty of it and the intelligence about it was to divide the three pillars that are called, yeah, there. So the state duty, and we'll come back to this, say that actually core in all international human rights law is the duty of states, yeah, to put in place legislation and to do things. And that the kind of thing that Cindy was mentioning as far as modern slavery, as far as reporting, all those things is state action. We'll come to that. Corporate responsibility is to respect. Yeah? And that isn't just a neutral do no harm thing, it's something more than that. I think that's really important. It's not just to sort of make sure other people comply, it's do something more, and that's what we'll talk about as far as due diligence and action. And then we'll briefly talk as well access to remedy, which is part state, part private actor as far as grievance. This is not about risk to the company, it's not about your reputation, it's not about your ability to sell, it's not about how efficient you are. This is about the potential risk and impact you have on people on the planet. Any institution, certainly companies, but any institution makes better decisions if it's got good information, and that's really what due diligence is about. The reason this is difficult and new is companies haven't generally had human rights experts in the mix, they haven't generally had to look at these issues, there's greater demand on you to think about what's happening in your world and your impact on it, so it's new territory and it's difficult. So for example, let's say if you're a food and beverage company and you're making beer, yeah, and selling beer. Now a lot of the sort of human rights risks you might look at might be in your breweries, which actually quite often are unionised around the world, yeah, or in your sugar supply chain or your hop supply chain. So you see that as far as in oil upstream. But what about downstream? What about the migrants who've set up kiosks in South Africa and are selling your beer? Because do you know where a lot of the violence is at the moment? Exactly at that point. Yeah? What's your responsibility there? So I think this idea of a human rights due diligence is one thing, is to open up the scope. If you're a retailer, what about living wage in your retail operations in the UK? What about living wage in your retail operations in New York? What about the glittering shiny store that you are building with franchisees in the Middle East? It's opening up that to say there is a lot more than supply chain going on here, but even within your supply chain going second and third tiers, what do you know?
Process could easily indicate that governance is part of the problem. It could indicate that there are weak institutions or poor laws. It could be business practices. This isn't only about business doing things differently. This is about getting the impact right. Talk to people. I don't care whether it's an illiterate farmer or a woman on a production line. They have an opinion, they have a perspective, and often they will start with things like, I need to feel respected, or I want greater dignity. It's not always about wages.